So that's getting on for 70,000 pounds of static thrust in total. She's not using, well, she's only using a tiny proportion of that as we speak. I was saying about Roy Chadwick, the Lancaster designer. He drew this picture in 1946. That's only 5 years after the Lancaster first flew, of the aeroplane that recognisably is this aeroplane today. And even more interestingly, if you stretch it by 3/4 along its length, you get recognisably Concorde, because Vulcan is a predecessor, an antecedent of Concorde. Concorde also had Rolls-Royce Bristol Olympus engines, although rather different ones.
Okay.
Perfect formation there by the just get a little suspicion of Vulcan's engine slightly opening up there. She looks enormous. She's actually not that big. She's about the same size. Nuclear deterrent in the mid-60s. When she was a nuclear bomber carrier, and she was doing the quick reaction alert that required, she was painted white, anti-nuclear flash, and then when she stopped doing that and became a low-level conventional bomber, they changed the colour to this current camouflage extraordinary ray. So here she comes from the right, in the hands of Captain Kev Rumens, Co-Captain Bill Perrins, AEO Phil Davies. Your very own Vulcan. See, everybody thinks she's very noisy, but she can tiptoe up on you. The man who flew the amazing raid on the Falkland Islands, Martin Withers, is now the chief pilot of the Vulcan to the Sky Trust. He's not flying today. He was awarded a DFC for that. And that aircraft that he took down to the Falkland Islands is now on static display at Waddington, where she was based. So the first Vulcan flew in 1952, so last year she was celebrating her Diamond Jubilee along with Her Majesty. In fact, every air show last year was in celebration of Her Majesty's Diamond Jubilee by kind permission of Buckingham. This aircraft was made in 1960, so she had her 53rd birthday last Saturday. At the Farnborough Airshow, and I can remember seeing this, one of her test pilots rolled this aeroplane. It didn't go down very well, and he was told not to do it again in public, but it was quite capable of being rolled. And she has a fighter-like control stick. Doesn't have a big yoke like most bombers would have. So she really is a bomber pretending to be a fighter. Now you see that bomb bay opening there, the bomb bay doors open, and that is where he carried those 21 we've just heard that through something called Operation 2015, with a bit of luck, if we can raise the money, she'll be flying until the end of the 2015 season. There was a time when we thought she might not fly beyond the end of this season because she does require major modification next winter. As she comes by this time, you'd see those bomb doors closing. If you look at them with binoculars, you may just be able to see inside. What she really needs is a full commercial sponsor, and everybody's been trying for years to get that. She doesn't have one, but she does get an awful lot of help from the commercial world. Also, people like Eddie Forrester of Aerovites is very generous. Big support from the Civil Aviation Authority. Somehow you don't expect a big manta ray like that to do those kind of maneuvers. Marshall Aerospace, the engineering authority, lots of other companies give great support. AD Holdings, BAE Systems, Beagle Technology, Cranfield Aerospace, more about that in a moment. EADS, Goodrich, Kearsley Airways, Meggitt, Messier Doughty, Rolls-Royce and Circa. Still costing £2 million a year to run. That's 38,500 every week. Fundraising done by the Vulcan to the Sky Club, quite a lot of it. More than 8,000 members and rising, one of the biggest aviation heritage support clubs in the world. She lives at what used to be RAF Finningley, where she used to be stationed at one time. That's now snappily known as the Robin Hood Airport, Doncaster, Sheffield, or RAHADS for short. She was actually stationed there between 60 and 68. But she lives now in a very sumptuous hangar there, and the Trust runs regular visitor facilities. You can go and see her and look around her. But you have to remember that she's not funded by the government, and she does not belong to the Royal Air Force. In fact, just as Kev put the power on there, you heard the beginning of the Vulcan howl. Extraordinary noise that is unique to this aircraft. Nobody quite knows why it happens, but it does. It depends on the weather as well. If you could tell your grandchildren you've heard the Vulcan howl. There's one member, or sort of member of the crew that I haven't mentioned, and that's Kevin Stone, Tap Stone. He's the crew chief, the chief engineer, the man who thinks of her as my baby. 558 is my baby. He was 25 years in the Air Force, and he left to work on the Vulcan project. So it's thanks to TAF that we see this aircraft performing so brilliantly in front of us today. I do urge you to go and pay the Vulcan Village a call, or if you don't want to walk over there, and it's beside the control tower, beside our commentary position, you could contribute to the funds by text. You'd be very welcome. You text to the number 70070 770 70070, and you text VULC 13, VULC 13, VULC 13, plus one more figure for how much you want to give. So it could be 2, 3, 4 or 5. So to contribute £3, you text VULC 133 to the number 770. Here she is for the last pass with her gear down, and wait for the sound as those Bristol Olympus engines spool up. there she goes. Wasn't that absolutely super? So, pay the village a visit, or text the money in, or go to vulcan2thesky.org. There's also a Vulcan app for your mobile. It'll tell you what she's doing, and you can then keep track of what she's doing all the time. If you go to the village, you may meet the Vulcan navigator and one of the other AEOs, Barry Macefield. They've been there most of the day. So that is our display from the Vulcan.